Hello, and welcome to a recap of Season 1 of Mineshafts and Morons. This is not deserving of your full attention, but instead has been designed to be listened to on the side. It is somewhat long, but I feel quite worth listening to. So load up some Roblox or Overwatch or Minecraft or homework, and I'll be waiting for you here. Here's a list of the sections. It will also be findable at the bottom of the video on the timeline bar. We will start with a general lore of the world of Anthania and the history such of, and then we will recap the current and past adventures of the Mineshafts and Morons crew. If you have not come here from the trailer, I recommend watching it, link below and in the top right corner. Now let's get on with it. The world of Anthania. Anthania is the name of the planet on which this story takes place, and this will be a brief history of it. In the long, long ago times, before writing or tools or kingdoms, there was magic. Magic was the first tool mastered and used by humans on Anthania, and still proves to be the most useful. Magic is considered a form of energy, just as heat or kinetic energy. However, magic is not controlled by strict laws as other forms of energy are, and the reason for this is still unknown. Magic is an extension of one's mind, of their wants and feelings, and with practice and natural talent, one may focus his pure desire and enact their will. But doing so takes energy, and while all organisms seem to passively collect magic, they have their limits on how much they can store at once, so continuous usage without breaks will leave them drained of all magical abilities for the time being. Certain materials are immune to magic, and these materials are often used as currency for obvious reasons. Gold, silver, electrum, and a few more cannot be created by, changed by, or otherwise used for conductors for magic. Before long, with the help of magic, small societies had emerged, such as Gaiado, the Valkyrians, and the Jacolans of the desert. The Jacolans once controlled the entirety of the eastern desert from north to south, and built massive structures and magical ornaments to a deity that has since been forgotten. Their last temples and cities are now covered by the sands of the eastern desert, and they are the focus of adventurers and adrenaline junkies alike. The Valkyrians began east of the eastern desert, across the Red Mountains and into a land known only as Valkyria. The land settled by the Valkyrians just so happened to be extremely rich with an exotic mineral called redstone. Redstone is a universal conductor. It can transmit heat, electricity, and even magic, with near-perfect conductivity. The Valkyrians used redstone to master magic in a unique way. Instead of learning to control their own raw magic, they used themselves as the battery and their contraptions as the means to control that energy. This allows Valkyrians to have much more focused and powerful form of magic, but it can only be used while one is using a redstone contraption designed to control that magic. Because of this, the Valkyrians quickly became a dominating force in the Eastern Theater, but lucky for the Jacolans, were more concerned with developing their own society than conquering others. Far from Valkyria, across the Jade Sea, the Gaiado were still developing. They were masters of controlling the magic of themselves, creating a way of finding known as the way of Kiat. Kiat, in fact, is a very important figure to talk about, as he was a religious leader that controlled Gaiado. Kiat taught his followers the mastery of themselves and their magic was important above all, and that peace was deserving to all peoples. But the land west of Gaiado was devoid of humans, so spreading into it brought no conflict. Soon, Kiat and his followers controlled the entirety of the western continent, but an empire this large could not last forever. Soon after reaching the western banks of the Diamond Ocean, Kiat passed away, and Gaiado fell apart into 6 pieces, as various high priests vied for power. These 6 pieces were each named after their new leader, creating Codalon, Seleucia, Cretacia, Promoloth, Valtith, and Aurea. Aurea, inhabiting the eastern coast of the continent, was a puny country about the size of Luxembourg. However, the citizens of Aurea were determined to satisfy their leader, Lovat Auricus, and his teachings of conquest. But as Aurea pushed into Valtith and began what would become known as the Great Western War, of all those states fighting against each other, Aurea began to be pushed back further and further by the forces of Valtith, until one night in a dream, Lovat himself was visited by a wolf, white and looming over the lands of Valtith, with Lovat himself sitting upon the Valtan throne. The wolf told Lovat that this was to be his future, that together they would conquer both Valtith and the rest of the former Gaiado nations. All the wolf asked for in return was for Lovat to begin preaching its worship. Lovat agreed, and the worship of the region changed from Quietism to Lupism, the worship of the Winter Wolf. With the powers of the Winter Wolf granted to his followers, Aurea quickly conquered the Valtans, as well as Promoloth and Cretacia. This began what is known as the Aurian Age, which is the current age, as the story continues. But when Aurea was still part of Gaiado, and Kiat still lived, trouble was brewing for the Jacolans. The northern Jacolans and the southern Jacolans had become so different from each other due to the difference of their environment that eventually they decided to peacefully part ways, as the king of Jacolon taking the south and the queen taking the north. The south became known as the Melon Nation, and the north became known as Whitecrest. However, not 4 days into the new arrangement, in a small town of Yitzin, on the border of Whitecrest and the Melon Nation, a man cheated on his wife. Now, under the laws of the Mel Nation, this was not a crime, but under the laws of Whitecrest, it was a small misdemeanor. The Mel Nation immediately claimed him innocent, and in the process stated that the town was theirs, while Whitecrest arrested the man and took him further into their nation, claiming that the town belonged to them. This escalated until both Whitecrest and the Mel Nation stationed troops in the small town of Yitzhak, and though we do not know who shot first, someone did, and soon the town of Yitzhak was naught but smoldering ashes, and many men had died on both sides. In response, Whitecrest claimed that not only Yitzhak, but 4 other towns should be theirs, and in response, the Mel Nation claimed that Yitzhak, the 4 towns, and also 3 more towns belonged to them. This continued to escalate until both nations claimed that they rightfully owned the whole of the other nation, and so began the Eternal War. The massacre of Yitzburg was over 700 years ago, and still the war rages between Whitecrest and the Mel Nation. Both have turned each other into propaganda machines and deep military traditions. Whitecrest is often symbolized by the silver thistle, a common plant in the northern region of Whitecrest, while the Mel Nation is symbolized by melon. Whitecrest uses silver as a currency, while the Mel Nation uses gold. These 2 nations want to be so different from each other because of the Eternal War and because of the propaganda they forced upon themselves. And that is where our story begins, in the year 224 of the Orient Age, in a small Orient town named Urengarth. In this town lives a man by the name of Bonnet Meoman. Bonnet is an artificer, a creator of magical items, and has been banished from the town for unique reasons, which have not yet been revealed in the story. Bonnet cannot live in the town, but lives just outside of it because of a loophole. Also in this town is Josephi Krakowski, who is a simple farmer. The day is July 10th, and the harvest is coming in. A trading ship from the Mel Nation has brought melons to trade for Orient wheat, and on this day, Bonnet is approached by the local priest. The man wants to hire Bonnet to create a way to protect a prized artifact that the church owns, the Strides of Winter. Bonnet agrees to come to the church that night. At the same time, Josephi is approached by a guard, and told that they expect a strong storm and many dangerous creatures out tonight, and to come to the tavern for protection. Josephi agrees, and when he goes into the village, one of his chickens does something strange. It begins to morph into a human woman. This woman is Estrella, and has been living in Josephi's chicken coop, disguised as a chicken, hiding in the town for reasons unknown and yet to be revealed as of late. She too heard the guard, and heads into the town to explore it. Eventually, night comes. Josephi and Estrella are in the tavern, and Bonnet enters the church. The priest that Bonnet had talked to is dead, with a trident skewered into his chest, and the Strides of Winter are missing. Just as Bonnet is about to run, the trident flies through the air and into the hands of a man wearing a strange metal mask. A fight ensues, bringing in both Josephi and Estrella, and just as Josephi fetches a guard, the metal masked man uses an ender pearl to escape, leaving the guard to assume that the trio killed the priest. The trio is brought into a cell, though quickly escapes in an attempt to find proof of their innocence. They put together that the metal masked man must be from the Mel Nation trading ship, and there they find a stash containing his armor and some other useful items. However, this is not enough to sway the court, and they are banished from the Orient theocracy. While the evidence did keep them from being put to death, they are still screwed, and vow to find the metal masked man and bring him to justice. Bonnet finds the first mate of the Mel Nation trading ship, who is known as Fredmere. She is practically the captain, because the real captain is a stumbling drunk. Bonnet sleeps with her and enters in a relationship with her, which allows him and the trio to embark on their ship back to the Mel Nation. While on the ship, they try to find out who the metal masked man is, but to no avail. The ship is attacked by a massive sea slime and devoured, along with the crew and the trio. They awaken in the stomach of the slime, where a small society has developed of crews from other eaten ships. Here they meet Ingar Bubaloon, a stranded alchemist who now lives in the slime. He joins their crew in an attempt to find the way out of the slime, and they travel deep into the slime's digestive system using a potion that Ingar developed. They discover an ancient Jacolan temple eaten by the slime almost 900 years ago. Braving its traps, they acquire a powerful magical gem, which is just what they need to survive a long-distance voyage into the slime's blood. The next day, while making the potion, they accidentally give the mayor of the town demonic powers, but knock him out. The town is understandably furious, and they hole up in Ingar's house until night when they make a break for the heart of the slime, taking the mayor with them. Arriving in the heart of the slime through its digestive tract, they fight the slime's immune system in order to kill it, eventually doing so with a poison created from a strange fungus that lives in the slime. The mayor assists them in killing the slime, but as its acid blood fills the chamber, the mayor uses the last of his energy and the last moments alive to burn a hole through the slime for the 4 of them to escape through, as well as one for the townspeople. Josephi unfortunately dies in this process, and the remaining 3 members along with the townspeople are picked up by a passing ship and taken to the Mel Nation. There, they fight in an underground fighting ring in order to gain more information about the Metal Masked Man, and in doing so learn a bit about him. The armor of the Metal Masked Man belongs to the Mel Nation Special Ops, a secretive military group of the Mel Nation that was set to rest when one of its members massacred the rest of his team for yet-to-be-revealed reasons. There is one remaining member of the Mel Nation Special Ops alive in the town, and his name is Demas Bonacopita, a blind man. The group talks to him, and he gives them a list of names who used to be in the Metal Nation Special Ops. However, the Metal Masked Man beat them to it, and replaced the list of names with a letter to the party. The party decided to set out to Summer Melon, the capital of the Metal Nation, and along the way they must stop at a small cult compound named Bray, belonging to the cult of Marzana. They need to stop here to rest up, as it's a common rest stop. There they meet Koro Dengi, a money-hungry advisor to the Prophet King of the cult. The cult worships a death deity Marzana, but its main goal is to sap money from its followers to fuel the leader's lavish lifestyles. The trio is offered a deal, in which they assassinate a Metal Nation politician in exchange for help from the cult in finding the Metal Masked Man, as he is a former member of the cult. They agree, but are awoken in the middle of the night by a swarm of guards. The Prophet King is missing, as is their holy idol, and Koro Dengi is in charge. He has them tortured, believing that they are responsible, but eventually realizes their innocence and offers them the name of the Metal Masked Man, the man who is actually responsible, and will join them and give them resources that they need to capture him. He tells them the name of the Metal Masked Man, that being Jake Belander. That's where we leave off. The 4-player characters are entering the tournament of Summer's Passing, as they know the Metal Masked Man is too, but there are some rules for the tournament that will be the fuel for the story of Season 2. The Tournament of Summer's Passing is an annual tournament hosted by the Metal Nation government and taking place in the Metal Nation, in Summer Melon in fact. The tournament has 50 contestants, and in order to choose these contestants, a game of qualifiers is played. The Metal Nation government hides 50 golden eggs throughout Whitecrest, and then releases their positions publicly. If you bring back an egg to the Metal Nation, you gain a slot in the tournament. Criminals who are in the tournament are protected and have immunity from past crimes while in the tournament. These two things combined lead to many Metal Nation criminals flooding into Whitecrest and causing all sort of havoc trying to acquire the eggs. So that is where the Season 2 begins. Our party of protagonists on a quest to acquire golden eggs to fight in a tournament in order to track down and take down the Metal Masked Man that ruined their lives. And the prize of the tournament, the last known dragon egg from the Forgotten Era, isn't a bad motivator either. Season 2, Session 1 will be streamed live June 22nd, 2021. Subscribe to not miss it, and check out our other videos for Mineshafts and Morons content. Peace.